I thought two teams in the AFC made big statements. Number one statement, Baltimore. Like, we're going to be here. We're going to be here. It's kind of what you expected. We added a big truck. We put him in our backfield, and all of a sudden – and here's the thing, like, Keaton Mitchell's not back yet. Like, they could be better when he gets back. That's the scary thing, and I think for teams that can't stop the run, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It was like an entire – now, Lamar made a lot of plays, beat the blitz all day, but for them to just be able to run the ball at will – and it felt like they just took the box count, Bo, and they were like, hey, if I don't like the box count inside, this is the one thing about Derrick Henry that I think people understate is how effective he is on the perimeter. And in a game like this, where it's like, for a lot of teams, we're going to load the box and make a decision. We hear that all the time, make them one-dimensional. It is not a decision when you play the Ravens because you still have to do it. He ran for 93 yards against heavy boxes, 8-man boxes. That's scary. And when you have an MVP candidate in the backfield and guys on defense that seem to take this game personally to say, hey, we respect the fuck out of Jayden Daniels. At the end of the game, Lamar says, I need that jersey. Like, we respect this kid, and we'll give him his flowers. Nose, who, by the way, shredded man coverage all day. But the point is, in this game, it felt like the defense, every great play that the Commanders made, they were tightly contested throws, tightly contested plays, and on the perimeter early in that game, those guys were flying downhill. And I thought the Ravens came ready to play. We can talk about the Commanders in a second. I want to give the Ravens their props because this looks like the class of the AFC right now. Now, for a long time last year, they looked like the class of the AFC as well. And then in the playoffs, they didn't. And that's been a pattern with this team. So as good as they're playing right now, they have to keep in mind that we are playing for January. Everything we do has to be about what are we going to look like in January.
And hopefully they'll stick to the run because that's what happened to them last year. Like,
no question.
We fell in love with this running Baltimore team and them pounding the rock, and then they get into the playoffs and it's like, oh, we have a secret game plan that no one knows about. And everyone's like, what are you doing?
Whoa, we don't want the secret menu.
Yeah, like, no, like, what? This is not what we signed up for.
Yeah, no.
And just to see them doing what everyone expected they would do with getting Derrick Henry, it's scary. And for teams week by week to watch tape and knowing you have to face that backfield, there's only so much you can do to prepare. But just Derrick Henry himself, like, you have to actually get punched in the mouth to really feel it.
Well, you have to commit to. I thought Cincinnati for a lot of the game last week did a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. It can be done, and that's another thing we're talking about the Ravens, and we are so week to week.
Mm-hmm.
On this show in the NFL, I mean, look at us. It's October 14th. Every week we've had a different. This is the team this year.
Look at it.
We've had a different. It's over for this group. I mean, look at the Saints. A month ago, we were saying, I think they're real.
Yeah.
You just never know. Now this group is different because they're here year after year. And the thing that held them back last year in the playoffs, they seem to have gone out and said, you know what, we're never going to do that again. And it's a good look. Surprise, surprise. It's a good look for them. And the tight ends are a good look for them. Yep. Andrews dropped.
Yeah, it was nice for them to get Andrews going, though. I mean, he played pretty well. Besides that, he had a touchdown and 66 yards or something like that. Like, everyone's been kind of waiting for him to get going.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't think, like, we all talk about the Ravens and their run game. Their O-line is fucking good. I like their O-line a lot. That young center is good too. What's his name?
Linderbaum.
Linderbaum.
Iowa kid.
Bufford.
Bufford.
They call him Bufford.
It's good.
He looks like the cartoon. Well, no, it's Buford, but the guys in the Ravens locker room call him Bufford because they don't actually watch Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah. So they're just Googling the guy. He looks exactly like – he looks like the spawn of Howie Long. He looks like if Howie Long had a son that became a state trooper. That's honestly what Linderbaum looks like.
It's not too late for that, Chris.
It is probably too late for that, although I do love to sit in my car.
You look like a state
I love to sit in my car.
You look like if you had a
big bucket hat.
Yeah.
Oh, and I would be so cool. I'd be so cool. I'm giving you 10 miles an hour. But what we're not going to do, I'll be handcuffing people for not returning their shopping carts and shit.
Oh, my God.
Okay, let's not get into that right now. Let's not get into that right now.
Cartnark.
What?
Cartnark.
What is
on
that?
YouTube.
Oh, Cartnark? I've seen the guy. He's like a big guy.
Yeah.
No,
And he just leans on people when they don't.
Oh, it's just this small white guy.
Oh, well, I've seen a guy who's like on steroids, and he will walk you down in the parking lot.
Cartnark. He
But the cool thing,
slingshots these magnets that go to your car that says like I'm a dodo because I won't return my car.
I love it,
and it gets people so pissed off. It's funny.
Well, I'm gonna put a Commander's sticker on your car because we might be going up to watch.
Yeah,
maybe not. Probably not at FedEx Field. I'm gonna find a different place to. I love watching this kid play. Thursday night at the Link would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great, but like, how am I going to hide my jaw on the floor when he makes a couple of those back-breaking third down conversions? All right, so it's pretty cool. 2 elite quarterbacks. Lamar's got a lot of football left to play. This kid's got eons of football left to play.
Sucks their starting running back wasn't playing.
No question.
Really?
They missed Brian Robinson, but I just mean from a 30,000-foot view standpoint, and really yesterday, there was a lot of good rookie quarterback play that lets you know, and we've seen a lot this season, that like the league's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're
12 touchdowns by rookie QBs, most ever in a weekend.
And so, like we're going to get to each game and the different contexts within, that all those touchdowns were thrown. But I just think Jayden Daniels and Lamar Jackson within 100 miles of each other for the next 10 years, hopefully, is going to be a lot of fun. And in the rare circumstance when they play each other, it's going to be a fun little rivalry. And I thought it was cool to see Lamar at the end of the game giving him his props. I need that jersey. Lamar's so secure in himself.
Yep.
I just love the way he is.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know what I mean? It's really cool. Not that you wouldn't give that guy props.
Multiple guys giving Jayden Daniels props.
Because the pros see it.
He deserves it, man.
Yeah,
and he's a pro. He's like one of those rookies that comes in and you're like, that's a good rookie. Like I wish every fucking young player would act this way because he's humble, he's playing great, he's making great decisions. He's such a likable guy, man, and it's cool. I mean,
yeah, I don't even know him, and I like him. He could be a total asshole, honestly, and I like him. But they did miss Robinson, and I like what Nate Burleson said on CBS. He was like, listen, publicly, when you got a microphone in your face after the game, fans sometimes don't want to hear it, and the media certainly sometimes doesn't want to hear it. But I think this might be an extenuating circumstance to say, like, hey, that's a win for us.
A moral victory.
Obviously you want to win that game. And at the end of it, you're like, man, as you picture a win like that leading up to it, it's like, what if we could pull this off? Mm-hmm. How sweet would that be? But there's still a way for that trip to be gratifying. And I think for me, it's the 2 drives. It's the drive early in the game when I thought Cliff actually threw the kitchen sink at him. A lot of window dressing, preparing for this offense. It's obviously the score late to get it to 1 score. Like it's obviously that drive. It's obviously sneaking Ertz behind 2 red zone 3rd and mediums or longs. That's really tough. The field gets constricted. That's a really quick group, fast group. They kept you under pressure all day long. 98 for the Ravens just keeps kicking people's asses. Jones.
Yep, Travis Jones.
Van Noy's been a force.
That's
for
a
them.
meatball, dude. Travis Jones is a meatball.
Total meatball.
I love that guy. He's strong as hell.
He's
a meatball.
super strong. And then, they bring in Ngakoue. He's got a sack. So this group was humming. And like I said, everything was tight window. Everything that Jayden Daniels got, he earned. And, from the 3rd down in the red zone on that drive where he snuck Ertz behind Roquan Smith, that was an incredible. You like the 4th down against Cincinnati to McCaffrey where he's playing games with Pratt. Yeah. This was a beautiful throw in a tight area of the field. And then, the 4th down, when he lets that ball go to McLaurin, the thing they have 5-6 games into their career together is special. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When he lets that ball go, McLaurin's here and he's pressing that corner. And then when he catches the ball, he's at the pylon. It's just there's an innate understanding of each other that I think exists with these two. It's going to be a lot of fun for a long time. And then the other drive I loved was you got that tight window throw and 3rd down to McLaurin on the sideline. You got the throwback screen, which was like a crazy design. They're an eye near pistol basically, and they hand the ball to the running back. He pitches it back to Jayden Daniels.
What I liked about that too is he mishandled that ball, but calmly got it together and got the ball off.
Super calm.
And it doesn't look like a rookie.
The play starts with, it's just a creative design where the play starts with Eckler, whoever got the ball, started as a blocker.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other back comes over and finishes the job, and they dump it off to Eckler. And then they're faking a pop screen and on the same play hitting the tunnel. And then the drive culminates in Jayden Daniels' red zone patience to McLaurin. The pump, pull the underneath defender up, calmly deliver a ball to the opposite pylon. They are a pro offense. They're like immediately a pro offense, and that's a very good defense that they walked down a few times on the road and earned everything.
Why isn't Adams there yet?
I've been asking this question. I think you come out of this game and you say, hey, we need something, and maybe it is defense because the offense isn't broke, so maybe don't fix it. You just walked into Baltimore and scored 23 points without Brian Robinson, which hurt you in the red zone in other areas. You were able to run the ball at times. The screens were working. The conversions were there. They won a couple third and mediums back in plus territory. If you go back and look at that game, I promise you look at some third and mediums, like kind of 35, 40-yard line where it's like, what are you trying to do here? Do you want to come away with 3 or do you want to spot them a possession and they're already up a possession? Like I thought they could have done a little bit different on some of those third and mediums, but I think you come out of this game and say, hey, if at the end of the game we're saying, hey, we really missed Dorrance Armstrong, who I think is a really good player for them.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you're coming out of that game and saying, man, if we'd have just had Dorrance Armstrong for 60 minutes, because I thought that in some situations.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to blitz as much.
Didn't Jonathan Allen get hurt too?
Allen.
I thought I saw he had a pec injury or something like
but
that.
But the point to me is if you're looking at your edges and you're saying, hey, that's a key player for us, and he should be a key player, but he's probably not ideally your number one out on the edge. And I know Fowler can rush, but there are a lot of found pieces out there. I think they could go find one more. And you know what? Nolan brought this up. We were, because of the Hutchinson thing, ironic maybe that the Hutchinson injury might spur somebody to look at a guy like Trayvon Walker.
Right.
But for these teams that need edges, we've thrown out Max Crosby, we've thrown out Myles Garrett. These are like fantasy land. Like you got to send a bunch for these guys. There are guys like Carl Granderson in New Orleans. There are guys like Trayvon Walker still on a rookie deal and playing his ass off that I think maybe you could go get.
Don't try to take my rusher.
Well, you know what? He ain't rushing for much down there.
Yeah.
Because it's just, Josh Allen's been paid. We brought up Josh Allen last night, but like the contract is
Allen.
Joshua Hines Allen.
Yeah, because for them, this defense I think feels similar to the Texans last year, like a group that is kind of playing above its weight in certain spots.
Yep.
And you think about like the move the Bears made in the deadline last year. If you add a Montez Sweat, you get that effect, sweat effect. Who knows? The defense could really be elevated. You have a great play caller there in Washington already. So whether it's a Walker, maybe it's a Parsons as another guy.
Parsons, another guy that came up. It's like it's right under our noses. I don't know that Parsons would ever be traded in division, but if he were to be traded in division, I know 2 teams that would be very interested in Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Okay. So there are a lot of teams out there that haven't decided whether they're sellers or not yet. Some things are going to be cleared up over the next couple of weeks. And I just look at this team and I'm like, hey, rookie deal. You never want to waste a minute of that window.
Right.
You've got this kid on a rookie deal in 5 years, 4 years. He's going to be like baseball money.
Yep.
Money.
Yeah,
it's going to be Ohtani money. So
how happy are you if you're Terry McLaurin and you're finally getting balls from, he caught passes from Nate. He caught passes from
the balls.
Yeah, the
balls thing.
He caught passes from like
Sick
the
fuck.
NFL's entire second string quarterback, like everybody on the second string for the past 5 years.
No question.
In Washington.
No question.
How happy are you?
Oh, he's got to be ecstatic. You think about like any player that's played in the NFL knows that context matters. We bring this up all the time, and like we've all been in situations where you're like, hey, this is not ideal for me. And nobody gives a fuck. Like ultimately nobody gives a fuck.
Mm-mm.
In 10, 12 years, when they're reading your production, they're not going to say, oh, McLaurin wasn't catching the ball from anybody. And that's the thing about, the way we kind of create legacies for players. Like we really don't bring the context into the equation. And fair, because McLaurin, until we see something like this, it's hard to believe how elite he can be. I just think the guy's a fucking stud. I think he's a stud, and I'm super happy that he can, like things could have gone a lot of different ways for him. And I'm sure he's going to look back in 5-7 years and be like, the most important day of my life was this kid falling to us.
It's like
short fall, but he fell.
Like amazing.
Yeah.
Protect him at all costs.
At all costs,
I'm going to say it every episode. Protect Jayden Daniels at all costs.
No question.
Everyone in the DMV. Please, please, please.
Another
Yes, put him in that stadium so you get crushed by it. You saw what happened to Jalen Hurts in that fucking stadium?
But like now they're gonna have the means to fix it up. He has the #1 selling jersey. They got revenue pumping. Like it's a process, and now it's a process.
Okay.
Look, Magic Johnson, he knows how to do this. He just needs the funds, and they're about to start rolling in with this kid. So I'm excited to see what happens with the Commanders.